Hi, I'm Travis Parker at the University of California, Davis, and in this video we'll talk about how you can make controlled cross-pollinations in sweet potato. And before we jump into this, I just wanted to say a few things about background on sweet potato that's important when you're thinking about your crosses. And the first thing is that sweet potatoes tend to be photoperiod sensitive, and that means that their flowering is dependent on the day length. Depending on where you are and what varieties you're growing, some varieties might not flower until the days are so short late in the season that it's getting cool. And so the best thing to do is just grow out several varieties, and really maybe even as many as you can get your hands on, and just see what does well and what flowers for you in your area, and make crosses between those. The next thing is related to that, and that's that sweet potatoes tend to be pretty self-incompatible, and that means that they don't pollinate themselves very well. And moreover, they don't respond well to inbreeding because they're not adapted to that. So take advantage of the hybrid vigor that you get from crossing with a distinct variety and just make as many crosses with different varieties as you can. The last thing that I want to mention is that feel free to drop any of these steps that aren't useful for you. So a lot of major breeding programs just let bees do all of the work, and they just come in and harvest seeds, and they don't know what the father is, and that's okay sometimes. So if you aren't concerned with what the father is, then you can let the bees do the work. But if you do want to make sure that your crosses are between specific male and female parents, it's important to take a few extra steps. So the first of those is that once you've decided what your female parent is, you can go to that plant the evening before your crosses, and you can open up the flower and pull out those stamens, which are the pollen producing structures. And those are recognizable because they have a pointed end, whereas the stigma, which you want to keep, has this blunt end, and it tends to be a little bit taller, a little bit longer than those stamens. So again, you want to keep that stigma, which is going to be the pollen receptive surface. You want to take out the stamens, and that'll make sure that you don't have self-pollination. And when you're done with that, then you can close up the flower and put a little bit of tape on the end to keep bees out. If you're in a greenhouse, then you can definitely skip that step. On the morning of your crosses, you'll want to get started fairly early, usually before 10 in the morning. And you ideally want to do this on days that are going to be a little bit cooler, because pollen just doesn't do well across many species if it's really cranking hot. So it's better to do it on a cooler day and earlier in the morning. You want to pull off the flower from the variety that'll be the father, and you can remove the petal and then take off the tape from the plant that'll be the mother, and then you can cross-pollinate the two. And when you're done with that, you can close up that flower that's going to be your mother and put tape back on, and then add a label that'll show you which varieties you used as the mother and the father. Now, if your cross was successful, you'll have a fruit there within a few weeks, and once it turns brown, you want to pull it off, and it'll have 1 to 4 seeds inside. It's important to not leave them on the plant too long because they can actually shatter and you can lose those seeds. So this is the method that we use to make controlled cross-pollinations in sweet potato. I hope that it's useful for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.